strong.
Welcome back to Crypto for Freedom, where we talk about gaining financial freedom through the cryptocurrency markets. Today we're going to be talking about Bitcoin, and I believe that the Bitcoin 4-year cycle is in. You can see in every 4-year cycle we've had a major market peak in 2013, in 2017, 2021, and now in 2025. And each one of those cycles has had a peak followed by a 1-year bear market. You can see 390 days. You found a low right here. And 355 days, you found a low right here. 375 days, found a low back here in 2022. And now I'm predicting that in 370 days, roughly, we're going to be seeing a bottom for Bitcoin sometime next year. Now we've had 88% losses, followed by 84% losses, followed by 77% losses, followed by, if there's diminishing losses, diminishing returns, and diminishing losses, maybe we're going to see a 70% retracement all the way down to, which would bring Bitcoin all the way down to what, 40,000-ish over the next year. So my strategy over the next year is going to be to save as much money as I can and get ready to buy the bottom in next year at the bottom of the market. Now I do believe that Bitcoin is breaking through the 50-week moving average right here that everybody keeps talking about, and also did not find support on the bull market support band. And, that leads me to believe that Bitcoin is going to go ahead and go into the 1-year bear market, especially since we've seen now 530 days past the halving, which historically 530 days past the halving, we saw a top for Bitcoin right here. Back over here is 520 days past the halving, we saw a top. And back over here, 530 days, we saw a peak here, but before we actually started going into the bear market, we saw a nice substantial gain for Bitcoin back then. So now I really do think that Bitcoin is going to be heading into a bear market and following the trend, because the trend is your friend until the end. And if we take a look back at the previous cycles, you can see that Bitcoin, after it found a peak, it found resistance back all the way over here, and looks like 100 days past the halving, Bitcoin broke out of that resistance and flipped it as support. Let me just zoom in a little bit here. So it broke out of this resistance and then flipped it as support and found that support 105 days past the halving. And a similar thing happened in the last cycle, except for we found a new all-time high before the halving. So it did actually break out, and roughly 105 days, 110 days, it back tested and found support. Came back down and found support before it broke up to its cycle peak. Now, the trend is your friend until the end, guys. So until the trend actually breaks, and if we're actually able to break back above this 50-week moving average and break back above the bull market support band. I mean, we already did see something different this time by seeing a new all-time high before the halving. The halving is this yellow line here, where in the previous cycles, we didn't actually see a new all-time high until after the halving, over here and again over here. So I really do think that the trend is your friend till the end, guys. So I did take pretty substantial profits on my portfolio. I sold about 20% into Tether recently, so I can keep that on the side in my hardware wallets off the exchanges. You never want to keep your money on the exchanges because of things like FTX. This big drop right here is when FTX collapsed and it was a fraud. And if you had any of your money on there, you would have lost all your money. So make sure to get yourself a hardware wallet and keep your money off the exchanges. I did transfer, some money back to the exchange and trade it for Tether back over here. Back over here before it dropped. And, we do see these big drops, you guys. We see these huge drops for Bitcoin throughout the cycles and throughout the bull run. And, we could be seeing a big drop out of nowhere. And I think something like that might be, might be about to happen because, look at this drop right here. This was just boom, out of nowhere. Boom, out of nowhere. Boom, out of nowhere, right? Like these huge drops. And we haven't really seen that yet. We've only seen like kind of smaller drops, smaller drops, smaller drops. So I think we're due for one of these big drops, you guys, to bring Bitcoin, back down to 70 or 80K. And if you do have a long-term horizon, I would be dollar cost averaging into the market. The trick is to have multiple streams of income, have an emergency fund, and be constantly dollar cost averaging into the market, being debt free, and just having that emergency fund and the multiple streams of income is going to protect your assets over the long term, so you don't have to sell when Bitcoin does do these big drops like this every 4 years. You can just continue to buy the dip with your income and hopefully lump sum somewhere down here at the bottom in this green box. That's what I did back in 2022. I sold all my stocks back here when Bitcoin was around the top, and I waited 1 year, and then I sold, and then I was able to buy Bitcoin over here in this area to accumulate, and I've been taking profits all the way up to live my lifestyle and upgrade my life. And I really have had a substantial increase in quality of life and standard of living, and have had life-changing gains. Now, if you take a look at that downtrend that Bitcoin was able to, break out and backtest as support, I think we might be coming down back down to that level to test that as, support for the next bear market. And it's very likely, you guys. And I wouldn't listen to all these big influencers out here that keep saying that Bitcoin's going to go to the moon, Bitcoin's going to go to a super cycle, Bitcoin's not going to be in a bear market next year, because the trend really is the friend. The trend really is your friend until the end. And there might not be an altcoin season this time. There really just might not be. And the best thing to do is be in Bitcoin. So if you guys are in Dogecoin, that's fine, because I think that asset is going to be good for the long term as well. But this video is more about Bitcoin. And if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. Check all my links down below in the playlist. All right. Now, if we were to see Bitcoin drop over the next 1 year, we could be seeing a 70% retracement, which would be diminishing losses from the last bear market, which was 77%, and the previous one was 84%. So you guys just keep stacking Bitcoin and Dogecoin and whatever. I don't really like any of the other cryptos. I pretty much sold all my other altcoins besides Bitcoin and Dogecoin. I figured that would pretty much match the niche of this channel. So thanks everybody for being here. Make sure to subscribe to the channel because we're growing out here. And with that, we'll see you on the next video. Peace.